Hello there! I want to start off by welcoming you to the game. Runescape is a massive game where you can have fun for thousands of hours. You can definitely just start up the game and start playing without a guide, which makes it very fun to explore everything, but if you want a head start to progress, I will show you everything you need to get started. I'll try to explain all the basics of the game, show you methods to train every skill and set you on the way with some goals to accomplish at the end. Let's start off by showing you how to download the game. Just head over to the oldschool.runescape.com website. On the left hand side you see you have a download button. This will install the base client of old school RuneScape. But most people download the RuneLite client. You can find this right here. The RuneLite client also just plays the base version of the game, but has a ton of extra features to make your time on RuneScape more enjoyable, ranging from useful plugins to a whole visual upgrade to HD. If you click on the link, it will direct you to runelite.net. Proceed to download the game. You can also install the game through Steam, and you can even play it on mobile phone by getting it from the Play Store. Using any of these options will put you in the same instance of the game as all other players. Now that you downloaded RuneLite, open up the client. For the first time loading, it might take a while. Once it's done loading, you'll be introduced by this iconic screen. Here you can select New User, if you want to make a new account. It will redirect you to the old school RuneScape website to make a fresh account, so go do that real quick. In the left bottom corner, you can select your world. Let's have a look at these different worlds. You can see there are Silver Star worlds, these are free to play, and Gold Star worlds. These require membership to access. You can also see some flags. Those represent the servers from where the game operates, if I understand that correctly. If you're in the UK, you should probably use one of the UK worlds so you don't lag too much. If you hover over some worlds, you'll see that some of them are themed. This comes in handy when you're finding other random players to do an activity with, because in that world a lot of people will be doing that activity. For example, the minigame Pest Control in World 344. Every world plays the same game, and you can switch worlds and keep all of your progress. But for now, just pick a random free-to-play world and click on Existing User to log in. You will start out on this island, Tutorial Island. This is where the game will teach you the basics. Pick your name, which will be seen by everyone, and style your character. Inform the Gillinor guide that you are a brand new player. Now before we head out, I'll go over the basic controls. You move around by left clicking, so no WASD here. You can also click on the minimap to walk. This is useful for traveling long distances. You can right click pretty much everything in the game, and it will show you everything you can do with that item or character. To zoom in or out, just use the scroll button. To move your camera, you can use your arrow keys, but if you want to play just with the mouse and lay back, you can also operate the camera movement by holding down the scroll wheel button. This might take some time getting used to, but it is definitely my preferred method of turning the camera because it's a lot faster. Before I forget to mention, you can also turn on running by clicking the little boot icon next to your map. This lets you run at double your walking speed for a short time. Throughout Tutorial Island, there will be some arrows pointing to what you have to do next, and some flashing symbols if you have to click somewhere. If you get stuck, make sure to check for any arrows or flashing symbols on your screen. Let's head over to the first tutor. He will teach you all the basics about fishing, cooking, woodcutting and fire making. It's all quite simple really. She will give you a net to start off. This is automatically placed in your backpack, or inventory as we'll call it. To start fishing, just head to the sparkling water spots and click on them. Here you have to catch a shrimp. After you catch your shrimp, you will get some fishing experience. You can track your experience and levels in the skill tab. If you get enough experience, you will gain a level. The levels scale exponentially, meaning that every level you get, the next one will require more XP. To reach level 99 in just one skill, you'll need to get 13 million experience, which for some skills can take hundreds of hours. If you click on the skill here, you'll see everything you are able to do with that skill. Just note that does not mean that every time you unlock something, that will be a better training method or a better moneymaker. Some unlocks might be completely irrelevant to you. There are in total 23 skills you can train in Runescape. The free-to-play skills are white, and the grayed out skills are members only. We won't worry about those members only skills for this video. If you talk to the lady again, she will give you an axe and a tinderbox. Axes are used for chopping down trees. If you chop down a tree, you will gain some woodcutting experience and some tree logs. We can set these logs on fire with our tinderbox, which gives us some fire making XP. Just click your tinderbox on your log. Now that we've made a fire, we can cook our shrimp. Just click the shrimp on the fire to cook it. Next up is another small cooking tutorial. You'll just have to use the water on the flour to make a bread dough. You can cook your bread on the range, and the range is basically an everlasting fire as a piece of furniture. The next tutor teaches us a bit about quests. These have a unique icon, this blue compass. There are hundreds of hours worth of quests in this game. Often they give some very good experience or item rewards, making them very useful to complete in the early game. They are all very cool missions with a lot of fun interactions, and lots of players find the quests in RuneScape some of the best out of any game. You won't find any simple kill X amount of monsters quests in RuneScape. All the quests are amazing stories with unique characters. To start the quest, you'll have to walk to an NPC with this blue compass symbol on the map. NPC stands for non-player character, by the way. Towards the end of the video, we'll complete a quick quest together. After the short introduction to questing, you can head downstairs for your quick mining and smithing tutorial. Mining is the skill with which you excavate valuable ores from rocks. This will require the use of a pickaxe. You can't really do much with raw ores, so you'll have to refine those ores into metal bars with the smithing skill. Just chuck your copper and tin ores into the furnace to make a bronze bar. These bars can be transformed into a variety of armor and weaponry by using a hammer and anvil. In the tutorial mode, we'll have to make a bronze dagger. Next up, you'll get a short introduction to combat. There are 3 main types of dealing damage. We call them melee, ranged, and magic. First, let's learn about melee. Using axes, swords, maces, etc. to swing at things is melee. This is linked to the attack and strength skills. Leveling up your attack makes you hit more often and allows you to wear some cool weapons. Leveling up your strength, on the other hand, makes you hit harder, bigger numbers. There is also the defense skill. Training this will give you the ability to wear some better armor and make you more tanky. You can choose what skill you want to train in the combat options tab, the crossed swords. For example, if you use the stab attack while fighting, you will gain attack experience. If you use lunge, you will gain strength experience, and you can also train defense by using the block stance. The combat tutor will send you in a cage to kill a rat. After your fight with the rat, you might have taken a lot of damage. You can see this by looking at your hit points in the top right, next to your minimap. When you go down all the way to 0, you will die. But you can heal up by just eating some food. This is where the bread or the cooked shrimps come in handy. Every time you hit an enemy, you'll gain some hit points experience, so you'll train it passively. After you killed your first rat with melee, the combat tutor will give you a bow and arrows to unlock the ranged skill. Just put your bow on rapid. This makes you shoot arrows more quickly, and this deals the most damage per second. The useful thing about range is that it of course can hit from a distance, so you don't even have to enter the pit to kill the rat, and you won't take any damage. This method of killing enemies is called safe spotting. After learning about ranged and melee, you get a short banking tutorial. There are banks all across RuneScape which can hold your items. Your inventory, or your backpack, is limited to just 28 slots, so we will leave most of our stuff in our bank, and you can just bring the items you need for the adventure you're on right now. You can find banks in RuneScape by looking for this symbol. If you put your items in one bank, you can retrieve them from any other bank. They're all interconnected. The monk will teach you about the prayer skill. You can train prayer by killing monsters and burying their bones. Some bigger monsters will drop bigger bones, giving more experience per bone. The prayer skill is exceptionally useful. You can activate these character boosting buffs by clicking on them. The three most powerful ones are probably the Protect from Magic, Protect from Missiles, and Protect from Melee prayers. If you activate one of these, you'll basically be invulnerable to attacks from that type. When using prayers, you'll soon find out that your prayer points will deplete. If you used up all of your prayer points, which you can also check in the top right corner next to your map, you can no longer use prayers. To restore your prayer points back to full, you'll have to find an altar in a church to pray to. You can find these by looking for this icon on the map. The monk also explains to you how to add friends. You can find your friend list by clicking on the yellow smiley face icon and add anyone you would like to talk to. You can even talk to your friends when they're not around you. And finally, we will learn about the magic skill, the third combat style. Using magic spells require you to use runes. These are the grayish circular things. Every magic spell has a specific set of runes required to cast the spell. To cast Wind Strike, we need air and mind runes. You can check this by hovering over the spell in your magic tab. Just click on the spell and click on the chicken to cast it. Once you get a little bit more money, you will be able to buy some magical staves. For example, a Staff of Air. These can come in very useful when training magic because they can give you an infinite supply of certain runes and make you able to cast spells without having to constantly click on them. There are also a lot of non-combat spells. Spells to enchant items, liquefy items into gold, smith ores into bars, etc. Members can even unlock some entirely new spellbook. I think in total there are over 150 magic spells to use. When you completed the tutorial, talk to the wizard to travel to the mainland. He will give you some mumbo jumbo about the Iron Man game mode. Just ignore this. It's basically a harder way to play the game and I would not recommend it for beginners. There we go, we arrived in the mainland. We spawn right in front of a very useful NPC, Adventurer John. This guy is there to help you out. He will offer you some basic tasks to complete and will have some good rewards. You can check out the tasks by going to the Adventure Paths tab. This is also where you can find your quest list. Completing all of these tasks is definitely a good way to get started, but doing that would make for a bit of a boring video, but we'll complete a few tasks along the way. Let's have a look at the world map. You can open the map by clicking the button in the top right of your screen. Right now we are in Lumbridge, the beginner area of the map. To the east of Lumbridge lies the desert city of Al-Kharid. You'll probably go there once you want to train your crafting skill. To the north of Lumbridge is the city of Varrock, the largest city and most popular city in Runescape. A lot of players come here to trade. Towards the east lies the city of Falador, famous for its white knights and big underground mines, and a little bit south of Falador lies Port Sarim, a massive dock where you can take the boat to different islands. If you were to travel all the way north to this very grey and dark area, you'd find the Wilderness, probably the most dangerous place in Runescape. Players can attack other players here, so be very careful before you roam here. So these are the biggest areas in free to play, and will have you exploring for hours. Once you upgrade to members, you will unlock even more parts of the world, and it's just absolutely huge. When you start playing, the game is not gonna hold your hand. You are free to do whatever you want. But to continue this guide, I'm gonna give you an example of what is possible when starting out. I'll briefly go over pretty much everything you need to know in a somewhat logical pattern. But please, you don't have to follow the path that I take. Make your own adventure. But do stick around because I'll be explaining wherever I go. But before I explain any further, I'm gonna change my game client layout to Resizable Classic. This is what I like to play on. Just try all 3 of them and choose which layout works the best for you. To start off, you probably want to start killing some things. But first, I would recommend to get some food to eat, so that when we take damage, we can regenerate our health. So run to the bank to clear some inventory space. The bank in Lumbridge is found on the top floor of the castle. I'll put everything in my bank and will only bring the items I need. My axe and tinderbox to make a fire, and my small fishing net. There is a fishing spot just south of Lumbridge where you can fish for shrimp and anchovies. This is indicated by this symbol on the map. I'll see you when I get there. So cast out your net and relax while you catch some shrimps. You'll find out that this will take a while. Because some things are so AFK, meaning you don't have to interact with the game to progress during some activities, you'll be spending a lot of time watching Runescape videos, going to the 2007scape Reddit, and generally just interacting with the community. This is a great time to do some online research, for example, watching this guide. Okay, so now that we have a full inventory of raw shrimps, we'll have to cook them. There's a dead tree you can chop a little to the northwest of here. Light the logs and cook your shrimps. As you can see, we burned a lot of those shrimps. And those burnt shrimps have no use for us, so I'll just drop them. You can drop them by right-clicking them, but the easier way is to turn on Shift-click to drop in the menu. Go to the settings panel, click all settings and go to the controls tab. Here you can turn on Shift-click to drop. Now you just have to hold the Shift key and left click to quickly drop all of your garbage. Now we have a lot of free inventory spots again, so I'm gonna get a couple more shrimps. We are ending our little fishing trip with 5 fishing, which is ideal. We unlocked sardines, so next time we want to go fishing, we can catch some higher level fish. Let's go kill some things now. Run back to the bank on top of the castle and bring your sword and shield, bow and arrows and some runes. A good monster to start training on are goblins. These can be found by crossing the bridge over the river Lum to the east of the castle. Equip your sword and shield and train your attack, strength and defense to level 5. It's best to train your strength first. If you kill a monster, they will drop some loot. Pick up the bones and bury them to train your prayer skill. If you get an item and you're wondering if it's valuable or not, you can check the item price by clicking this button. If you get to low health, remember to eat some of your shrimps to regain some hit points. Now, if you were to die, it's actually not a big deal. There will be a grave where you died, and you'll be able to reclaim all of your items. When you are rich and have millions worth of gear, you'll have to pay a fee to recover your items, but for now you don't have to worry about that. And that's level 5 strength. Let's switch our combat style to start training attack. After you hit level 5 attack, you should go to Adventurer John to claim your reward. Awesome! For getting 5 attack, he rewards us with a steel longsword, which is a lot better than our bronze sword. We also received some fishing bait and a rod, so we can catch some sardines later. We also received 5 noted trout. That's another type of fish. He gave us this in the form of banknotes. These are little pieces of paper with an item drawn on them. This makes it so you can hold a lot more items in your inventory. Noting items is especially useful when you want to trade items and want to be able to trade a lot of them. But if you were to try to eat the banknotes, you'd be terribly disappointed. You can't eat the noted fish. You'll have to put them in the bank first before you can withdraw them as eatable fish. Let's get back to the goblins now. And there is level 5 defense. In theory, I could now upgrade to the steel armor set, but I don't have enough money yet. For now, I'm gonna use all of my arrows and runes to train some ranged and magic. That's the last of our arrows and wind strikes. We can't use any more magic for now, because we don't have any runes. You can, however, still use the Lumbridge home teleport. This spell is free of charge and requires no runes. It brings you back to the Lumbridge castle. To the north of the Lumbridge castle, you can find the magic tutor. Every 30 minutes, If you have no more runes, you can ask the magic tutor for some extra runes free of charge. But let's get back to the bank again and get ready for our next activity. Bring your axe and tinderbox, because we'll train some woodcutting and fire making. These two skills are really simple. Just chop down a bunch of these normal trees and set them on fire. You can find a whole forest behind the Lumbridge castle. Okay, so we're getting a lot of levels now, but I want to show you some more of the world. To train the next skill, I'll take you to a different region. I'm gonna walk all the way to Varrock, to the eastern bank. Just follow the red line on the map on screen, and I'll see you when I get there. We just made it to the eastern Varrock bank. As you can see, all the items we deposited in the Lumbridge bank can be accessed here as well. We're gonna be training mining now. So deposit all of your items and only bring your pickaxe. There's a great mining spot to the southeast of Varrock. We can find a lot of copper and tin there, which is what we'll have to mine to get our first levels. I'll just get my mining up to level 5 for now. You want to mine an equal amount of copper and tin, because 1 copper and 1 tin combines into 1 bronze bar. The dark brown rock you see next to you is an iron rock, requiring 15 mining. That might be a challenge for later if you want. Okay, so we reached our goal and got 5 mining, and some copper and tin. Let's run back to deposit these in the bank. To make use of these ores, you'll again need to refine them into bronze bars at a furnace. There's one not far from here in Edgeville. But before I head there, let's have a walk through Varrock so I can show you some useful shops. Just south of the bank, you can find Aubrey's Rune Shop. Here you can buy extra runes to train your magic skill. If you walk a little further northwest, you'll see the Archery Shop. You can stock up on ammunition and get some bow upgrades. The shop across the archery shop sells some armor. I wouldn't recommend buying from this shop because the prices are quite hefty. If we walk a little bit further to the west, we come across Zav's staff shop. Here you can buy the air, water, earth and fire staves. These staves give an infinite amount of air, water, earth and fire runes if you wield them. But you don't actually have to visit all these shops to buy your items. You're much better off by traveling northwest to the Grand Exchange. This is the central trade hub to trade with other players. You can of course trade with everyone in game by right-clicking them, but this is a lot simpler. It's basically an online auction house where you can sell and buy basically every item in the game. Just talk to the clerk and you can put in an offer for any item you want. But that's enough talk of shopping, because we don't have any money yet anyways. We still have to get to that. So let's continue with exploring all the skills. We still have smithing, crafting and runecrafting to go. To start my smithing training, I'll travel a little bit further to Edgeville, just south of the wilderness. There's a furnace there in which you can refine your copper and tin into bronze bars. The furnace is very close to the bank in Edgeville, which makes smelting those bars a lot faster. If you don't want to come all the way up here, another great place to smelt your bars in free-to-play is in Alcarid, the desert village. Now we have a lot of bronze bars. To continue processing these bronze bars, we will need an anvil to strike the bars on. Luckily, there's an anvil not far from here, just south of the Varrock western bank. Let's head over there. Just click on the anvil and an interface will pop up. For now, I'll just make some bronze daggers. And now that I'm level 3, I'll make some bronze maces, another type of melee weapon. If you want, you can sell these items you created for some money in the Grand Exchange. Let's go explore the second to last skill, crafting. Crafting is a very broad skill, in which you can transform a large number of different resources into useful items. I can't even begin to explain all the different methods. Just have a look at the skill guide to see what there is to do. But to start crafting, the best way is to actually complete your first quest, Shearer. This is all the way back in Lumbridge, so let's use our free Lumbridge home teleport. On the map, you can see all the starting points for different quests. To start Shearer, we'll head to the north of Lumbridge. Here you can find Farmer Fred. If you talk to him, He'll ask you to make 20 balls of wool. Accept the quest. We will also need some shears to shear the sheep, of course. Luckily, you can find a pair of shears lying there on the table. How fortunate. To see if you actually started the quest, you can check your quest log. Sheep Shearer should now be in yellow text. Walk over to the sheep pen and start shearing the sheep. Collect 20 pieces of wool. When you're done shearing all those sheep, you'll have to spin these at the spinning wheel into balls of wool. You can find a spinning wheel on the first floor of the Lumbridge Castle. After you're done spinning, head back to Fred the farmer to complete the quest. You will now see that the Sheep Shearer quest is marked green because the quest is completed. The final skill we haven't touched upon is Runecrafting. With Runecrafting, you can create your own runes to cast magic spells. It is one of the best money makers in-game if you get to a high level. Before you start to train Runecrafting, you'll have to complete the Rune Mysteries quest. The whole quest is basically an explanation of the Runecrafting skill, so I won't be showing you this in this video. Instead, I'll show you one of the most useful resources to learn the game, the old school Runescape Wiki. You can get there by googling, or you can just right-click the quest, Rune Mysteries, to immediately open the guide. There is so much to learn in RuneScape, and you can never know everything, so make sure you get comfortable with the wiki. Pretty much everything about the game is documented on this website, so you'll probably want to come back here if you have any questions. So that was it for my basic introduction into old school RuneScape. You should have some basic knowledge to train every skill in free-to-play, but to set you a bit further on your way to get a sick account, I'll give you some things to do that will greatly help you progress your account. One idea is to train your woodcutting to level 15 and bank the logs. Don't burn them. Sell your logs to the Grand Exchange and buy a steel, black and mithril axe from the Grand Exchange. Head a little south and chop down oak trees at the West Varrock Bank and bank all the oak logs you gather from grinding to level 30 woodcutting. If you sell all these logs, you will have made around 25,000 GP already. The second thing you could do is train your fishing from level 5 to 20 by catching some sardines and herring right here in Drainer Village. You'll need a fishing rod and bait to do this. Cook all of the fish you catch to get a lot of cooking levels. Mine 150 copper and tin in the East Varrock mine and smelt them all into bars and turn those bars into bronze items at the anvil. This should get you well above 15 mining and 15 smithing, so you'll be able to process iron next time. After you got some money from woodcutting and mining, buy yourself some gear upgrades for melee. Have a look at what you will unlock by looking at the in-game guide. Buy some scimitars and some armor. I would recommend you to buy a full steel set, a full black set and a full mithril set. After you bought your gear, you can continue training your melee stats at the cows in the cow field in Lumbridge. Pick up all the cowhides these cows drop. You can sell the cowhides for some great profit. If you want to profit even more off the cowhides you got, you can take them to Tanner Ellis in Alcarid. Ellis will turn your hides into leather for a small fee, which sell for up to 300 coins each, increasing your profit margins drastically. If you enjoyed those 4 tasks, I can safely say that RuneScape is the perfect game for you. You can become a member by buying membership with real money, but there is also the option to become a member by redeeming bonds. One bond costs around 5 million in-game coins and gives you 2 weeks of membership. Definitely a long-term goal if you're starting out. I wish you all the best of luck on your adventures in RuneScape. It's truly an amazing game with an awesome community behind it. Even though the game is nearing its 20th birthday, it still has a very large active player base, which is just a huge testament to how good it actually is. To this day, the game gets frequent updates, keeping everything fresh. I hope you'll enjoy the game as much as I do, for perhaps many years to come. Good luck and have fun!